This is just some of my sheet music. Thankfully, there's a tablet out there that's just tailor-made for musicians to display their sheet music. Right? Wrong! Sheet music reading devices for musicians kinda suck. But Chase, I hear you shouting at your screen, just to get an iPad. Nope. iPads are the peak of what's wrong with our current options. Thankfully, after months of research, I've solved it. But before we can talk about solutions, we need to talk about the problems we're trying to solve. That's gonna suck to clean up. This is a piece of sheet music. Our goal is to take this, and many like it, and put it onto one of our newfangled tech gadgets so that we can take all of our music on the go. Thankfully, there are several applications that you can use to read music on those devices. But for the purpose of this video, we will be using Mobile Sheets. Mobile Sheets is available on iOS, Android, and Windows. It allows us to import all of our music, write on it, add jumping points for codas, rotate your display, basically everything you'd want out of Sheet Music 2.0. I could do a whole video on Mobile Sheets. I love it. So, if our music reading software works well, what's the problem? Currently, there is 3 main problems. 1, the cost of these dang things. 2, the size of the screens. And 3, the screens themselves. So for all of you yelling at me to get an iPad, it just so happens that iPads perfectly show all 3 of our issues. As a device that we are going to be using as a glorified PDF reader, these are ridiculously expensive. Well, just get a cheap one, you might say. The cheapest iPad is currently $350 for an 11-inch display. Hot take, $350 is a lot of money for an 11-inch tablet. And that's without their fancy Apple Pencil, which is at cheapest another $80, which you're probably gonna want if you actually wanna be able to write on your music. And none of that matters anyways because, second hot take, 11 inches is too small for a sheet music reader. Let's look at some good old-fashioned math. iPad versus sheet of paper edition. First of all, unlike our humble piece of paper, the iPad's 11 inches is measuring diagonal, not length, which makes it actually smaller than you might think. If we take the diagonal of our piece of paper, it's measuring roughly 13.9 inches. Score 1 paper. Fun fact you might not be aware of, the 11-inch iPad doesn't even have an 11-inch display. It is, in fact, 10.86 inches. Which makes it even smaller. Crunch the numbers, and our humble piece of paper is almost 30% larger than the 11-inch iPad display. And even if you're okay with so much less real estate for your sheet music, none of that really matters if it's not nice to look at. Look, I realize we've normalized staring at a blue haze of pixels, but what if there was a better way? The best sheet music reader should have a display that's pleasurable to look at in all the situations a musician would need to look at them. On stage, in the club, outside. The glare on most iPad displays makes them unpleasant to read on in a situation most musicians would actually want to use them. So with all of these problems, is all hope lost? Is there no solution? Of course not. I have found 3 different solutions that tackle most of the problems that we've laid out here today. Let's get into it. First, we've got the I've got a lot of money I'd like to burn solution. So if you fall into this category, go check out my Patreon at www. In the Moneybags category, I've got 3 different devices that can show what you can get if you've got the coin. First up, we've got the 13-inch iPad Pro. But Chase, you just spent a whole section talking about how iPads suck. Well, iPads are actually really good. They're just complete overkill and they're priced as such. The best device to read music off of would have to be the new 13-inch iPad Pro. That's for 2 main reasons. First, 13 inches is actually a really good display size to be able to read music off of. Second is the possibility of having the nano texture display. All that complaining I did about glare earlier, so much better with the nano texture display. So let's look at the price here for a second. Base is $1,000, but we want the 13-inch. So that takes it up to $1,300 already. Color doesn't really matter, black is fine. We'll do the cheapest storage to keep the price down because it doesn't take much space to hold sheet music. Oh, I can't add the nano texture display with the cheapest storage. Okay, I guess we can't do nano texture under 1 terabyte of storage, which adds an extra $600 for 750 extra gigabytes of storage that we don't need? Oh good, adding the nano texture is another $100 on top of that, which brings us to a grand total of $2,000 without the Apple Pencil. That's just too much money. I'm sorry. But before we leave Apple completely in the dust, there's also the 13-inch iPad Air, which is only $800. But look, for $800, you should be getting so much more than just a tablet. Something like this is the Surface Pro 9. It's a few years old at this point, but it's a good stand-in for a Windows PC tablet. This thing is a full-fledged computer, which, sort of like the iPad Pro, is complete overkill for this purpose. I got mine brand new a few years ago with the keyboard and the pen for $1,000. And it was my main computer and sheet music reader for a lot of that time. You can get a newer version than mine right now on Amazon for $960, which is much less money than the iPad Pro, and it's a full-fledged computer. I've used this in countless performances and it has not let me down. Until the sun decides that you don't get to read anymore. For all this money, you're still dealing with a glossy display. Wouldn't it be great if there was a display with, like, I don't know, e-ink that would make it so much more enjoyable to read music off of? Something like the Books Tab XC/Note Max. These behemoths are 13.3-inch e-ink displays that run Android. Unlike other e-ink devices like Kindles that are completely locked down, these are Android tablets, so you can actually download useful applications like mobile sheets. These are actually the only e-ink devices I've found with a display size that's even worth using for sheet music reading. In fact, they're so close to being the perfect sheet music reading devices that other companies have taken this hardware and rebranded it for that purpose. Now, before you run out and buy one, e-ink does have some growing pains still. Things like slow screen refreshing, ghosting, and low screen brightness. Even with those quirks, e-ink just seems like the perfect fit for sheet music reading. So why don't I own one? The same reason I don't own an iPad. The price! The cheaper Note Max is $630, and the more expensive Tab XC is $820 for PDF reading tablets. That's just too much money for a sheet music reader. So what if we don't want to throw a bunch of money at the problem? This is the I've got like no money to burn. Come on, in this economy? Solution. This is the Surface Pro 3. I got it refurbished for $80. I can afford $80. This device is from 2014 and it's running Windows 8. But here's the thing, you don't need the latest and greatest to be able to flip through a bunch of PDFs. I have taken this device and I have uninstalled absolutely everything that I don't need, and then I installed mobile sheets on it. I even went and disabled the lock screen so that it comes right into my sheet music. I have turned this device into something that is solely used to read sheet music. And for that purpose, it's fantastic. It's fast, it holds all of my music on it. It's rocking a 12-inch display. While not huge, it does the job. I 100% recommend this. The problem is buying refurbished can be a bit of a gamble. And a deal like this is not easily found in the first place. Plus, the display is a bit smaller than I'd like, and it's still really glossy. And lastly, would you want to trust an 11-year-old device on a really important performance? If only there was a device that was affordable with a large screen that was actually nice to read on. Turns out there is. This is the I've got some money, but I don't want to compromise solution. You know, not a lot of money and no compromises actually pops something else to mind. My sponsor! This video is sponsored by the Gator Frameworks Wooden Conductor Stand, one of my favorite standout features. The bookplate on this is featuring a premium piece of wood, which makes it absolutely perfect to be able to put a tablet on. Most stands have those ridges with the circles in the middle that kind of bump out. It makes it really scary to use with your tablet because it can scratch the back of it. This thing will also cover even your most demanding pieces of work because it has an awesome oversized backplate. Another thing that sets it apart from most stands is that the height and the legs are actually adjustable via these screws on the side, which means that you can actually tighten them so they won't fall down even under more weight than you probably would ever need. And since the top of this thing does actually tighten down, you can basically just use this for a flat surface if you want. Since it has such a nice top to it, you don't have to worry about scratching any of your devices that you would put on top of it. And just like most non-tablet devices on this channel, you can find this conductor stand at Sweetwater Music. Head to sweetwater.com, type in Gator Frameworks, And check out all of their great devices. I'm still rocking a Gator Frameworks desk, which I absolutely love. So thank you to Sweetwater and Gator Frameworks for sponsoring this video. Let's go check out my favorite device. This is the TCL NextPaper 14. It's funny, I created this entire video around the Surface Pro 3 before I even realized that this existed. This is rocking a 14.3-inch monster display. Putting this thing up against our 11-inch iPad display makes the iPad display look like it's built for ants. If the huge display wasn't already enough, this device is premium. Not only does this have an anti-reflective display, just like the $2,000 iPad Pro, but it also has a dedicated button to simulate e-ink displays. In a previous video, I spent 4 hours playing the cello using only this device in e-ink mode. And after a while, I completely forgot that I was reading off of a tablet. This device is running Android, which means that using mobile sheets is no problem at all. It's like this device was solely created for musicians to read music on. So what's the catch? Not the price. I got mine for only $333 with a case and a pen. You can't even get the cheapest iPad for that. And that's the kicker. I went through a ton of research before I even accidentally stumbled upon this device. And it's not even truly built for this purpose. Musicians deserve a device that is built for them. An affordable e-ink device with a good-sized display built for sheet music reading could be a staple in every school music program. So why doesn't it exist? Where are you, companies? Books is kind of close, but it's not even really marketed or priced for musicians. I just want a big, cheap Kindle built for sheet music reading without Amazon. But until that day comes, I will be rocking my $80 dinosaur and my 14-inch mammoth. Got a tablet you love but I didn't cover it? Feel free to leave me a comment down below so I can check it out. If you liked this video, please go down, hit like and subscribe. If you do have money to burn or you just want to help support the channel, go check out my Patreon where you can become a patron of the arts. I wrote this song. It's really good. For marimba. Play marimba. Let me know. I can send it to you. I have to go clean up a big pile of sheet music.